What is going on, YouTube? I am Germ here, and in today's video, we're going to be going over some new, spicy trash talk, maybe a little bit of drama, some pro players kind of talking some trash, throwing some shade, and obviously it's something that I always enjoy talking about on this channel, just kind of going over what's the latest, because especially during the week when we have no games, when there's not really as much going on, these are some of the more fun and exciting things to see. All the interviews, all the trash talk, the drama, people hyping up the games and building up the excitement, and either talking about matchups that just happened or building future matchups and all this stuff. So I think it can be really fun and exciting, and obviously I like keeping you guys up to date on all the latest, because it's hard to follow when there's so much content all over the world and all these different leagues and everything. But I also think this kind of brings up an interesting conversation and discussion that we can maybe dive a little bit deeper into as well. So overall, I think this should be a fun and exciting video. Definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. And make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. Help us run those numbers up. That would be absolutely insane. I think last time I looked, like 47. I think the number's going down a little bit. People that watch my videos on a regular basis are actually subscribed. So, it just shows we have a lot of potential room for growth. A lot of you guys watching this right now are not subscribed. Click that button really quick to help us out. With that being said, let's get right into this. The interview that we're going over today and the trash talk we're going to, start this whole conversation and discussion with is this. This is Ablaze Olive. Obviously, the Golden Guardians mid laner. Golden Guardians has been really up and down this year. Ablaze Olive has been really up and down this year. But mostly, this interview was after one of his bigger games of the season. This was his Rise game against Team Liquid, where he had like the 3v1 triple kill. He really popped off. He had a big moment, and people were excited about him. Ablaze Olive has some high highs at his best, and during his best games, he's one of the better mid laners in the LCS. Now, is he consistently that good? No. And does he have lower moments than, a lot of the top guys like the Bjergsens and guys like that? Yes, definitely. But again, in his best game, he can pop off even against a team like Team Liquid. And that's what excites me about Ablaze Olive, especially being like a North American mid laner. But what we are talking about here is a little bit of trash talk he has for one of his friends, one of his former teammates, organization mates, whatever you want to call it. But he's calling out Bjergsen, and Bjergsen is not, I guess, a stranger to being called out or being the target for a lot of, trash talk or whatever. He's the biggest guy. He's the star of the LCS right now. He is probably the best LCS player of all time. Obviously, Doublelift right there in that conversation as well, but especially with Doublelift not being in the LCS right now, Bjergsen is going to be a big target for a lot of people and for a lot of big mid laners. So here's what they said. In this interview, they asked him, what was it like to finally lane against Bjergsen in the LCS? And Ablaze Olive says, it was pretty boring, honestly. I think part of that is the matchup, but also I think Bjerg has lost the killer instinct he had before he took a break. That is very, very spicy. It seems like he's very defensive in lane and not punishing you on making small, subtle mistakes. He's very much more reserved and seems more focused on making sure he's not making any big errors. I think that tends to turn a lane matchup like the one in this game into a farm fest. He never contested the wave after I got Merc Treads, and he just kind of AFK'd mid, which isn't really what you want to do as a Twisted Fate. We did have a miss playing the topside fight, but he didn't even ult to it. He was just already there, so it could have been any champion. He's saying, hey, he didn't even use the Twisted Fate ult to get there. There's no point in being Twisted Fate. You would have been a better champion who could maybe do more at that fight. Really, really funny stuff. He said in this game there wasn't a lot of skill expression from either side, so maybe next time. They ask him a little bit more about that. They say, do you think Bjergsen's change in playstyle is due to his role in Team Liquid? Or do you think he just hasn't gotten back into full form, or what do you think's going on? He says, I think it's just the way that he approaches practice and improvement. He's a very structured guy, and I think that he's very sequential in how he wants to improve. He is not one to make risky plays that won't always work out, but he always wants to be solid and make sure things are perfect. That is something that he has said he maybe does too much recently, but I think that's why he hasn't been super aggressive. I assume he just doesn't have good knowledge or the confidence to play aggressively. I'm not sure what it is. I'm just speculating, but it doesn't seem like he's putting his ability into making aggressive plays he could make, and that some other mids might make to contest. He's kind of playing for more safe options. This is only spring, so he has a lot of time to hopefully get more confident. And then, they just kind of ask him about Bjergsen coming back in general. But that's very, very spicy, and that's very interesting. And obviously, Ablaze Olive is a guy who knows Bjergsen very, very well. Again, they both played on TSM at the same time. Obviously, Ablaze Olive was in TSM Academy. And there's a couple thoughts I have about this. I mean, one, obviously, some of this criticism is probably fair. And it's honestly a criticism that some people have had for Bjergsen forever. Obviously, there was splits in the LCS where he would be super aggressive, where he'd be popping off, where he would be, consistently getting massive leads. But one group of people would say LCS mid laners kind of sucked. They always have kind of sucked. Maybe they even still suck today. And the other group of people would say, Bjergsen still would be too reserved and stuff when he went internationally. Even though he would stomp the LCS, maybe the mid laner sucked. Even if they didn't suck, he wasn't able to keep that same aggressive level when they went international, and he would kind of get stomped in lane and stuff, and people would be punishing his mistakes rather than him punishing mistakes, whatever. And the other half of the whole thing, I think, is like Ablaze has maybe gotten a little better over the past couple of years. He's saying, Bjergsen lost that killer instinct from before, but like maybe Ablaze has also gotten better in the last 2 years. Maybe he has less to punish. Maybe, like he says, it's the meta and the matchups and stuff right now. Because when I'm thinking to the mid lane meta right now and the champions I've seen Bjergsen play this season, it's like Corki, Victor, Rise. I know he had a Vigar game. He had an Orianna game, which you can do a little bit more with in lane and stuff, but he's playing Twisted Fate. These aren't champions in general that you're going to be trying to do anything too crazy in lane. Now, obviously, the best mid laners in the world, and if they're playing against a guy who doesn't know the matchup or a guy who isn't that good, or even just, if they're on the right day, Chovy does some crazy stuff with some of these champions, especially in lane. But these aren't generally champions you're going to get to see a ton of that skill expression in lane on. Now, obviously, there are little things you can do here and there, and you should still be able to build up leads. But again, the meta right now isn't totally for trying to make huge differences between mid laners. Also, as everyone says, modern day League of Legends is much more of a team game. It's much less focused on the 1v1 matchups and being able to take as much advantage as people maybe used to be able to. But then I also want to dive into Bjergsen's stats right now. If we look at him in 2022 spring right now in lane, gold differential at 10, he is sitting at 4th in the league. But I guess if you take out Takeover, he's 3rd in the league. Takeover's only played 2 games. So Bjergsen's 3rd in the league with 84 gold differential at 10. And then CSD at 10, he is, 5th in the league, being down just a little bit of CS at 10 minutes. And that's not amazing, but it's top 3 in terms of gold differential at 10, which I think is probably, maybe the most important stat of all. The CSD can be important as well. He's actually down CSD at 10 minutes. And it made me just want to look back to some of Bjergsen's other seasons. And I don't really know what people consider Bjergsen's prime, if it's like 2014. I don't know. I know TSM was at their best in 2016, so I pulled up the 2016 stats, where, yeah, he was a monster. His gold differential at 10 was 189, and that was best in the LCS, and his CSD was 4.4 at 10. So obviously, right now, his gold differential at 10 is lower, and his CSD is lower, so yeah, it might be on the mark there. 2020 summer, his gold differential at 10, if we can pull that up, have to sort it, was actually 76, with a CSD at 10 of 0.3. So right now, Bjergsen's 2022 spring is looking a lot like his 2022 summer, which, Ablaze was saying before he took the break. Obviously, this was before he took the break, but also at the same time, this is maybe when he was considering taking the break. Maybe this was when Bjergsen was starting to fall off a little bit, whatever, but his 2022 spring stats don't look all that different than 2020 summer, just based off of his laning, which I think Ablaze was talking about. We have 2020 spring as well, where Bjergsen again had those really nice gold differential at 10 stats where he led the league. And then CSD, he was at 2.6, which was second best in the league as well. Him and Jensen always being kind of 1 and 2. And then looking at 2019 spring, where Bjergsen was once again number 1 at gold differential at 10. And then for CSD at 10, he was 3rd. So, he's usually top 3 in all the major laning stats. And again, like I said, right now, he's 3rd in gold difference and 5th in CSD. So he's not so far off. The stats, the numbers aren't showing he's so different. Now, maybe Ablaze is saying there's a feel difference. Like I said, there's possibly some reasons for that. But we also do know, I just made the video, talking about Doublelift and him saying, if he wanted to come back to pro, he would probably be able to be good, but it would take time. You're not just going to come back right away and start stomping people. And Bjergsen's definitely going through some of that as well. And Bjergsen has himself talked about that where, hey, he doesn't feel like his best right now. He doesn't feel like, he's playing that amazing, but he also doesn't feel like he has unlocked his full potential. And I think a lot of people are noticing week over week, this past weekend was probably Bjergsen's best weekend. It does seem like each week he is getting better and better and better and better. And this is just spring split regular season. Spring playoffs, I assume he's going to be an even better version of himself. I hope they get to go to MSI because I think that international experience will be so good for this Team Liquid team. And then summer playoffs, and then by the time World comes around, like, I think Bjergsen is going to be a whole different monster, especially when you look at this team he has around him. This is the best team he's ever had around him. And then, there's people asking that question as well. It's like, hey, when you have Hansama, Core JJ, Bwipo, does that maybe even subconsciously make you play a little bit safer? Because, hey, you have this amazing team. You don't want to make some stupid mistake. You don't want to be the reason they lose, because if you just play pretty good, if you play pretty normal and you're there for the late game fights, your team's good enough, especially in the LCS, to probably win a ton of games. Now, that's not a good mindset, and I hope that's not what he's thinking, because, yeah, that mindset isn't going to work on the international stage when you're playing against T1 or, Damwon or EDG or whoever, but it'll definitely work in the LCS. But could there be some of that as well? At the end of the day, I really do think the meta isn't the best. I think Ablaze has gotten better over the last couple of years, so maybe things feel different for him. I think modern League of Legends has changed a lot as well compared to, Bjergsen's prime and all that stuff. But again, I don't think the numbers are all that different, and I think Bjergsen's going to get better. I think if we check out these numbers again, come summer regular season, especially towards the end of summer regular season, I think we're going to see Bjergsen back to being top 3, in all the major statistical categories and stomping people once again. And probably looking like the best mid laner in the LCS, which he might already be and look like that right now. And we know how much better he can get, and that is scary. But I do appreciate the trash talk from Ablaze. I do appreciate him getting that stuff out there. But Bjergsen always has a way of getting those people back when they have something to say. Jojo Pune had something to say during lock-in. Bjergsen took care of that. I think we're going to see Team Liquid probably taking down Golden Guardians next time we see that matchup. And we might even see a big game from Bjergsen. We might even get to see something crazy like an Akali game or something like that. Who knows? But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole discussion. Do you think Bjergsen's washed up? Do you think he looks different? Do you think he plays too safe? Or do you think Ablaze is, saying some craziness? I don't know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.